Don't know about you. Whenever I hear these readings, one sentence comes back to me that I've said so many times in my own life. What do I do now? Think about it. How many times in our lives have we said that? What do I do now? We might not admit it to anybody else. But you know, maybe that day you got married. What do I do now? The day of ordination. Sure, all that schooling. But what do I do now? 43 years ago Monday, we first held our oldest son. What do I do now? And sometimes that sentence comes back to us, that question comes back to us in matters that aren't so pleasant. Maybe when we've lost a parent or a spouse or some other loved one who was so close to us. We ask ourselves, what do I do now? That's what the disciples are going through here. As Father Roy mentioned last weekend, you know, these Sundays of Easter time, we have been focusing first on the simple fact that Jesus rose from the dead. It took a while to let that simple fact sink in. And then we started to think about, well, since he's done that, what does it mean? What does this mean in our lives? And now, he leaves. He's gone away. There's beautiful medieval pictures of this scene. And usually all you see is a cloud and Jesus 2 feet. And you see the apostles looking up. And they had to be asking themselves, what do we do now? I love the angels. The angels always show up when the disciples head in the wrong direction. Remember Easter Sunday morning? And they're looking in the tomb. Why are you looking here? He told you he'd be in Galilee. Why are you looking here in the place of the dead? He's not dead. It's the same kind of message here. Men of Galilee, why are you looking up here? What you do next is not up here. He's told you what you are to do next. Go out and preach the gospel to every creature. Don't look up, look out. And they did. And according to the readings, we are told that they were effective and that Christ had promised them that. You'll be able to overcome any obstacle. And he uses that flowery language of serpents and languages and all the other terrible things. But what Jesus is telling them is, when you preach the gospel in my name and in the power of the Spirit, great things will happen. And every difficulty can be overcome. That's what we do. So really, this Feast of the Ascension is not about us looking up to see where Jesus went. It's not even about saying, someday I hope to follow him. Obviously we do. But first, we have a job to do. It's interesting, we have 2 accounts of the Ascension today, don't we? The first one comes from St. Luke and his Acts of the Apostles. It's the very first part of the Acts. It's the very first verses of that book. But the gospel that I proclaimed is from the very end of the Gospel of Mark. The meaning is clear. Christ's work is finished. Our work, the Acts of the Apostles, has just begun. So my friends, what do we do now? We don't look up. We look out. And we find a way, gifted as we are, as St. Paul reminds the Ephesians. Each of us has different gifts, different callings. But all of us are called to spread that good news, that gospel. And we receive the strength to do that through the Holy Spirit that we received at our baptisms, just as we're about to celebrate these baptisms in a few minutes. Don't look up.